The morning sunlight filtered through the massive windows of the Celestial Grand Hotel's 63rd floor, casting long shadows across the immaculately polished marble floors. Amara Johnson adjusted her standard-issue black and white uniform, tucking a stray curl back into her tightly wrapped bun as she maneuvered her cleaning cart through the corridor. At 27, she had been working at the Celestial for 5 years now, invisible to most guests who passed her in the hallways. "Room inspection on 63 in 15 minutes, crackled the walkie-talkie at her hip. Amara sighed. Head housekeeper Mrs. Bennett was notorious for her white glove inspections. "Copy that," Amara responded, quickening her pace. This was her life-hurried bathroom scrubs, perfectly tucked bed sheets, and restocking tiny bottles of luxury toiletries that cost more than what she earned in an hour. But Amara had a system, and her mind often wandered to other places while her hands worked efficiently. She had come to America from Suriname 7 years ago, carrying little more than ambition, and the languages of her homeland Dutch, the official language of the small South American country, along with Sranan Tongo, English from her international school, and French from her grandmother. Languages came easily to Amara like different colored threads she could weave together at will. In Suriname, this skill was common. In America, it had yet to be of any use. Amara, the voice of Desiree, a fellow housekeeper, pulled her from her thoughts. "Mrs. Bennett is on the warpath today. 2 rooms fail inspection on 62. Amara clicked her tongue. "Thanks for the warning." She rounded the corner to the presidential suite section, where each room cost more per night than her monthly rent. This section was typically reserved for diplomats, celebrities, and business executives. Today, the occupant of Suite 6312 was some European tech mogul. Amara had gleaned this much from the morning briefing. These details were important because different guests had different expectations. As she approached the suite, she noticed the "Do Not Disturb" sign was off. Amara knocked 3 times, the standard protocol. "Housekeeping," she called, waiting the requisite 15 seconds before using her key card. The suite was enormous, a full living room with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Manhattan, a dining area that could seat 8, and doors leading to what she knew was a master bedroom with an en-suite bathroom that featured a jacuzzi tub and a shower with 16 jets. These were the spaces of the ultra-wealthy, a world apart from her studio apartment in Queens. Amara moved efficiently through the rooms, noting that the guest was exceptionally tidy for someone of his status. No clothes strewn about, no room service dishes left overnight. The bed was even partially made a rarity among guests. As she fluffed the pillows and pulled the Egyptian cotton sheets tight across the mattress, she allowed herself a brief moment to imagine what it would be like to sleep in such luxury. A sharp ring cut through the silence. On the nightstand, a cell phone vibrated aggressively. Normally, Amara would never touch a guest's personal belongings, but the continuous ringing suggested urgency. Perhaps it was an emergency? After hesitating for a moment, she glanced at the screen. Amsterdam Kenner flashed on the display. Without thinking, Amara picked up the phone. "Goedemorgen, met we spreken," she said in fluent Dutch, asking who was calling. "Met we spreken?" demanded a confused male voice on the other end. Amara immediately realized her mistake. "Excuses, dit is de Kamermeis van de Celestial Grand. De eigenaar van deze telefoon is momenteel niet beschikbaar." She explained smoothly that she was a hotel maid, and the phone's owner wasn't available. "Ah, I see. Please tell Mr. Reinhardt that Joost called about the Singapore deal. It's urgent." The caller switched to English. "I'll leave a message for him," Amara promised, writing it down on a hotel notepad. As she set the phone down, a throat cleared behind her. Amara whirled around, her heart sinking. In the doorway stood a tall man with steel gray eyes and an expression of utter bewilderment. His perfectly tailored charcoal suit probably cost more than her yearly salary. This had to be Victor Reinhardt, the suite's occupant. "I apologize, sir," Amara said quickly, slipping back into English with just a hint of her Surinamese accent. "Your phone was ringing repeatedly, and I thought it might be an emergency." The man didn't respond immediately. He was studying her with an intensity that made Amara uncomfortable, as if she were a puzzle he couldn't quite figure out. "You were speaking Dutch," he finally said, his own accent distinctly European. "Flawless Dutch," Amara nodded, her eyes lowered respectfully as she'd been trained. Yes, sir. I'm from Suriname originally. Suriname, he repeated, recognition dawning on his face. Former Dutch colony in South America. Yes, sir. Amara shifted uncomfortably, aware that this conversation had already gone on longer than any interaction she'd ever had with a guest. I left your message on the notepad. Someone named Yost called about a Singapore deal. He said it was urgent. The man crossed the room and picked up the notepad, reading her neat handwriting. Then, to Amara's surprise, he extended his hand. Victor Reinhardt, he said. Taken aback by this breach of the usual guest staff boundary, Amara hesitantly shook his hand. Amara Johnson. Amara, he repeated. What other languages do you speak? The question caught her off guard. English and Dutch fluently. Sran and Tongo, that's our Creole language. And conversational French. Victor Reinhardt's expression changed subtly, a spark of interest lighting his previously unreadable face. 4 languages. Impressive. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a business card, holding out to her. I'd like to continue this conversation. Would you be available to meet later today, say after your shift? Amara stared at the card, then at the man offering it. Every instinct told her to politely decline, to maintain the professional distance mandated by hotel policy. Meeting guests outside of work was explicitly forbidden. Yet something in Victor Reinhardt's expression seemed genuine, without the condescension she was accustomed to from wealthy guests. With a sense that she might regret either choice, Amara reached out and took the card. My shift ends at 4, she said quietly. Victor nodded. The hotel lobby at 4:30, then. I'll have my assistant arrange for a meeting room. As Amara pushed her card out of the suite, her mind was racing. What had she just agreed to? And more importantly, what did Victor Reinhardt want from a hotel maid who accidentally answered his phone in Dutch? The remainder of Amara's shift passed in a blur of anxiety and speculation. She had told Desiree about the strange encounter, who immediately assumed the worst. Girl, you know what he wants, Desiree had whispered urgently while they restocked their carts. Rich men like that, they always want something, and it ain't your language skills. It's not like that, Amara insisted, though doubt had begun to creep in. He seemed professional. They all do it first, Desiree warned. Just be careful. And if you get fired from meeting a guest, don't say I didn't warn you. Now, as the clock approached 4, Amara changed out of her uniform in the staff locker room. She had brought a simple navy dress to change into the nicest thing she owned that was still appropriate for a business meeting. She released her hair from its tight bun, letting her natural curls frame her face, and applied a touch of lipstick. In the mirror, she barely recognized herself not the invisible maid anymore, but a woman with dignity and purpose. Yet her hands trembled slightly as she gathered her belongings. Going somewhere special? It was Mrs. Bennett, the head housekeeper, her sharp eyes missing nothing. Just meeting a friend. Amara lied, avoiding eye contact. Mrs. Bennett nodded slowly, unconvinced. Remember the hotel policy on guest interactions. Amara, I'd hate to lose one of my best staff over a foolish decision. The warning hung in the air as Amara made her way to the lobby. The grandeur of the Celestial Grand always struck her differently when she wasn't pushing a cleaning cart. Massive crystal chandeliers hung from 30-foot ceilings. Plush carpets absorbed the sound of the bustling space, and the air was perfumed with the hotel's signature scent, something expensive and unattainable. At precisely 4:30, a young woman in a crisp pantsuit approached her. Ms. Johnson? I'm Mr. Reinhardt's executive assistant, Claire. Please follow me. Claire led her not to a meeting room as expected, but to a private dining area off the main restaurant. Victor Reinhardt stood as they entered, gesturing to the chair across from him. Thank you for coming, Ms. Johnson, he said formally. Please sit. Amara perched nervously on the edge of the chair, acutely aware that just hours earlier, she might have been the one serving in this very room. I've ordered tea, Victor said. I hope that's acceptable. Amara nodded, waiting for him to reveal his purpose. After the tea was served and they were alone again, he finally spoke. I run a technology company that specializes in communication software, he began. We're expanding rapidly in international markets, particularly in regions where cultural nuance is critical. Southeast Asia, South America, parts of Africa. He paused, studying her reaction. Finding people who not only speak multiple languages but understand cultural context is surprisingly difficult, even in cities like New York. Amara's brow furrowed slightly. I'm not sure I understand what this has to do with me, Mr. Reinhardt. Victor, please. He leaned forward. Your Dutch is impeccable, better than most people born in the Netherlands. But it's not just that. You switch between Dutch and English seamlessly, and your note showed excellent attention to detail. These are qualities my company values. Amara's pulse quickened. Are you? Offer me a job. I'm offering you an interview, Victor clarified, for a position as a cultural liaison in our international communications department. The starting salary would be significantly more than what you're earning now. He named a figure that made Amara's breath catch. It was more than triple her current salary. This feels unexpected, she managed, suspicion warring with hope. Why would you offer something like this to someone you just met? Someone who was cleaning your hotel room. Victor's expression softened slightly. My grandfather was a janitor who spoke 5 languages. No one ever gave him a chance because of his accent and his job. I learned from his experience not to judge people by their current circumstances, but by their potential. He paused, then added more firmly, This isn't charity, Ms. Johnson. It's business. I need someone with your skills, and I'm willing to pay market value for them. Amara sat back, mind racing. Could this be real? Or was Desiree right to be suspicious? I would need to give notice at the hotel, she said cautiously. 2 weeks is standard. The position would be waiting. Victor pushed a folder across the table. All the details are in here, including the formal job description and benefits package. Take time to review it. My direct number is included if you have questions. As the meeting concluded, Victor walked her to the lobby before they parted. He said something that would stay with Amara for years to come. Ms. Johnson, talent recognizes talent. Your abilities were being wasted cleaning hotel rooms. I'm simply offering you the opportunity to use gifts you already possess. That night, Amara sat cross-legged on her bed. The contents of Victor's folder spread before her. The job description read like a fantasy. Cultural liaison and multilingual communications specialist. The benefits included health insurance, retirement contributions, and even tuition assistance for continuing education. It seemed too perfect. And in Amara's experience, when something seemed too perfect, there was usually a catch. She called her mother in Paramaribo, speaking rapidly in Sranantongo as she explained the situation. Misai, it sounds like a blessing, her mother said. But I understand your caution. What does your heart tell you? That's just it, Mama. My heart wants to believe in this opportunity, but my head keeps finding reasons to doubt. Her mother was quiet for a moment. Remember what your grandmother used to say. Opportunity knocks softly, while fear bangs the door down. After the call, Amara made a list of pros and cons. Under cons, potential loss of stable job, unknown company culture, possible hidden expectations. Under pros, salary, benefits. Using her language skills, potential for advancement, respect. The next morning, bleary-eyed from a night of little sleep, Amara arrived at work to find Mrs. Bennett waiting for her. My office, please, the head housekeeper said curtly. Amara's stomach dropped as she followed her supervisor into the small office adjacent to the housekeeping headquarters. Had someone reported her meeting with Victor? I received an interesting call this morning. Mrs. Bennett began once the door was closed. From Mr. Reinhardt in the presidential suite. He was inquiring about you. Amara swallowed hard. Mrs. Bennett, I can explain. The older woman held up a hand. He informed me that he's offering you a position at his company. Is this true? Caught off guard by the direct question, Amara could only nod. To her surprise, Mrs. Bennett's stern expression softened slightly. I've watched you work for 5 years. Amara, you're intelligent, diligent, and frankly, overqualified for housekeeping. I always wonder when someone would notice. Amara blinked, speechless. The hotel would be sorry to lose you, Mrs. Bennett continued. but I won't stand in the way of your advancement. If you decide to accept his offer, I'll ensure your transition is smooth." "You're not angry?" Amara asked cautiously. Mrs. Bennet actually smiled then, a rare sight. "Angry that one of my staff has an opportunity to better herself? No, though I am curious how this came about." After Amara explained the phone incident, Mrs. Bennet shook her head. 5 years I've known you, and I never knew you spoke Dutch. We all have hidden depths, it seems." Later that day, during her lunch break, Amara called the number Victor had provided. His assistant Claire answered and connected them immediately. "I'd like to accept the interview," Amara said firmly, "but I want to be clear about expectations." "Of course," Victor replied. "The position is exactly as described. No hidden conditions." "Then I'd like to proceed." "Excellent. Claire will email you the details." "And Ms. Johnson? I look forward to seeing what you can do in an environment that values your abilities." 2 weeks later, Amara stood in the gleaming lobby of Reinhardt Technologies, her new employee badge clipped to her blazer. The contrast of her previous workplace couldn't have been more stark. Instead of pushing a cart down hushed corridors, she now sat in a corner office with a view of Central Park, reviewing international marketing materials for cultural sensitivity and language accuracy. Her first major project arrived 3 months into her new role, a presentation to potential partners from Singapore, Indonesia, and Malaysia. Victor's company was launching a revolutionary translation software, and these partnerships were crucial for market penetration in Southeast Asia. The night before the presentation, Amara stayed late, meticulously reviewing the materials. As she worked, Victor appeared in her doorway. "You should go home and rest," he said. "Tomorrow is important." Amara nodded, gathering her things. As they walked to the elevator together, she gathered her courage to ask something that had been bothering her. "May I ask you a personal question?" Victor raised an eyebrow, but nodded. "Why did you really give me this chance?" "It can't just be because of your grandfather." The elevator arrived, and they stepped inside. Victor was quiet for a moment before answering. "When I heard you speaking Dutch, my native language, in an American hotel, it reminded me that appearances can be deceiving. It made me wonder how many other people I pass every day whose talents remain hidden because no one bothers to look deeper." He paused. "And perhaps I saw something of myself in you. I also came to this country with nothing but my abilities and determination." As the elevator reached the lobby, he added, "Success isn't just about what you know, Ms. Johnson. It's about being seen by the right people at the right time. I was seen by someone once, when I needed it most. I'm simply passing on that favor." The conference room buzzed with anticipation. The next morning, executives from 3 Southeast Asian countries sat around a polished table, while Victor and his team prepared to present their revolutionary software. Amara sat quietly to the side, present as cultural advisor, but not expected to speak. She had helped prepare the presentation materials, ensuring they were culturally sensitive and appropriate. Everything was going smoothly until halfway through Victor's presentation, when the technology failed. The screens went black, the carefully prepared demo crashed, and tension filled the room. Victor maintained his composure, but Amara could see panic in the eyes of the technical team as they frantically worked to restore the system. The potential partners shifted uncomfortably, exchanging glances. In that moment, Amara made a decision. She stood and moved to the front of the room. "While our technical team resolved this issue," she said with a confidence that surprised even herself, "perhaps I could address some of the cultural implementation questions that Mr. Lim raised earlier." She nodded toward the Singaporean CEO, who looked surprised at being directly addressed. For the next 15 minutes, Amara spoke without notes, addressing specific concerns about how the software would adapt to the linguistic nuances of each region. She switched effortlessly between English and targeted phrases in Malay and Indonesian, demonstrating precisely how the software would handle such transitions. When she noticed Mr. Tanaka, the Indonesian representative, looking particularly skeptical, she addressed him directly in Indonesian, explaining how the software's algorithm had been specifically designed to account for the country's hundreds of local dialects. By the time the technical issues were resolved, something remarkable had happened. The potential partners were engaged, asking questions, leaning forward with interest rather than impatience. Victor smoothly took back control of the presentation, but he kept Amara at his side, occasionally deferring to her on cultural questions. What had begun as a technical disaster had transformed into a dynamic demonstration of exactly what their software promised: seamless, culturally sensitive communication across language barriers. When the meeting concluded with handshakes and promises of continued discussions, Victor pulled Amara aside. "That was exceptional," he said quietly. "You didn't just save the presentation. You demonstrated exactly what we're selling in a way I never could have." The next day, Amara arrived at work to find a new nameplate on her door: Amara Johnson, Director of Cultural Integration. With the promotion came a salary increase, more responsibilities, and a seat at the leadership table. In the months that followed, Amara became an integral part of Reinhardt Technology's international expansion. Her unique perspective, not just her language skills, but her understanding of what it meant to navigate different worlds, proved invaluable. She enrolled in evening business classes, making use of the company's tuition assistance program. The circle of her life had widened dramatically. The same hands that had once scrubbed hotel bathrooms now signed international contracts worth millions. 1 year later, Amara stood in the lobby of the Celestial Grand Hotel, this time as a guest rather than staff. She was there for a technology conference being hosted in the hotel's grand ballroom. As she checked in, she spotted a familiar-faced Desiree, still pushing a housekeeping cart across the marble floor. Their eyes met, and Desiree's face lit up with recognition. She quickly parked her cart and rushed over. "Amara Johnson, look at you." Desiree embraced her warmly. "We've been wondering how you've been doing. Mrs. Bennett said you got some fancy corporate job, but she wouldn't spill all the details." Amara laughed, genuinely happy to see her former colleague. "It's been quite a year," she admitted. "How are things here?" "Same as always. The rich get richer, and we keep changing their sheets," Desiree said with a wink. "But seriously, I'm happy for you. You always were too smart for this place." As they chatted, Amara noticed Victor entering the lobby. He spotted her and approached with a smile. "Ms. Johnson, our panel starts in 30 minutes, he reminded her. Desiree's eyes widened as she recognized the hotel's former guest. "Well, I'll be..." Amara performed introductions. And to Desiree's further shock, Victor treated her with the same respect he showed everyone else. "I should get back to work before Mrs. Bennett hunts me down," Desiree said, squeezing Amara's hand. "But promise you'll tell me everything later." As Desiree returned to her cart, Victor and Amara walked toward the conference center. "You know," Amara said thoughtfully, "I sometimes think about how different my life would be if I hadn't answered your phone that day." Victor shook his head. "If not that day, then another. Talent like yours doesn't stay hidden forever." They paused at the entrance to the ballroom, where they would soon be presenting to hundreds of industry professionals. Through the doors, Amara could see the room where just a year ago she had served coffee to similar groups of business people, invisible in her uniform, ready to change how the world communicates. Victor asked. Amara squared her shoulders and nodded, ready. As they entered to applause, Amara thought of all the other Amaras out there, people with gifts and talents waiting to be discovered. People cleaning rooms and serving food and driving cars. People whose potential remained unseen. Perhaps her story could inspire others to look more deeply, to recognize that brilliance often hides in plain sight, waiting only for the chance to shine. Hey everyone! Thanks so much for watching this incredible story of hidden talent and unexpected opportunity. Amara's journey reminds us that sometimes our greatest abilities are just waiting for the right moment and the right person to be recognized.